Hey yo, Prizepicks has a new campaign featuring Joe Budden and Druski called Run Your Game. Honestly, it's pretty dope, so let's talk about it. Hey, what up, y'all? Back again with another episode of Beats and Billboards. And like I said, Prizepicks has this new campaign out featuring Joe Budden, and it's called Run Your Game. Now, there's a 30-second commercial within this campaign called Hit Up Your Squad or Hit Your Squad, and that has Drewski in it and Joe in it. Pretty much the synopsis of the commercial goes like this. Drewski gets on his phone, he's talking about placing a bet. He hits up Joe Budden. Joe is like, oh, that's a bet. I'm going to play that. By the end of the commercial, the squad gets together. They're all laughing and cheering. It's dope. And it plays out pretty well. Now, for those of you out there who don't know about Prize Picks is a fantasy sports betting tool. If you look at some of the reviews, it's pretty much touted as the best out there. And if you're a marketer like me, you're in that world, you're in the creative agency world, they've got some of the best work out there, some of the best commercials. So anyway, digging into the campaign a little bit more, you'll see that basically Prize Picks reached out to Joe Budden, who's a longtime collaborator of theirs. If you're a fan of the Joe Budden podcast, if you're a Patroni, or if you're just a regular JBP listener like me, then you know that usually during the middle of the show, Joe Budden will shout out Prize Picks, do a quick ad for them and then get back to the show. And then if you're a fan of Druski, then you'll know that he's done prior commercials with Prize Picks. And I want to say the last one featured Funny Marco. Could be mistaken. But all that said, Prize Picks is known for doing really great commercials and, putting some of that sports betting money to use. Now, this is a quick episode of Beats and Billboard, as this is just the beginning of the campaign. There may be more to see. But as far as a takeaway for brands that they should keep in mind going forward, I really think the answer here is that sometimes the obvious answer is the best answer. We all know that brands want to get in front of their audience, they want to get in front of people, they want to make a big splash. I think a lot of times what ends up happening, especially in the relationship between like creative agencies, brands, stuff like that, is sometimes you get in a space where maybe you don't think you can afford a certain influencer, or maybe you don't want to work with this influencer for whatever the case is. But sometimes the best answer is working with the top dogs, right? We know that podcasting is a really big space. Joe Budden has made a splash in the podcasting world. The Joe Budden podcast is literally one of probably the 10 podcasts that's holding up the industry. It's a 3-hour podcast with an 80% completion rate. Think about that. 3-hour podcast, that means at least 2 hours of that, maybe 2.5 hours of that podcast is being consumed, and there are 3 episodes a week. So it only makes sense that Prize Picks would reach out to him to do a partnership, and they doubled down on that partnership. I'm pretty sure they were thinking, while we put this commercial together, who can we tap to really ignite our audience? And if you're the creative agency in that position, you might be thinking to yourself, man, do we reach out to other partners? Do we get other influencers? Like, who do we go to make this happen? And again, sometimes the obvious answer is the best answer. You're already working with Joe Budden. Joe Budden's at the top of the culture. His podcast does crazy numbers, as you're probably privy to the analytics as the company. We reach out to Joe Budden. Well, who do we pair him with? Again, sometimes the obvious answer is the best answer. Druski. Drewski's an internet comedian, and I say internet loosely. He's really, a cultural phenomenon at this point. Really a sociologist, man. Dude be killing it. But anyway, again, obvious answer is the best answer. Get Druski. Get Joe Budden. And they made marketing magic with that. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if this commercial does numbers in the months to come. Definitely deserves a few awards. And yeah, I think it's just a smart cultural play. It makes sense for getting in front of what I would assume to be, an audience full of people of color who are using Prize Picks. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Joe in more commercials going forward. But with that said, man, this is an episode of Beats and Billboards. Salute to the people at Prize Picks for the commercial. Don't know who the creative agency was who put this together, but shout out to them too, man. They did a good job. So with that said, this is another episode of Beats and Billboards. I'm your humble host. In the words of Joe Budden, this is the kid, John Wright. Some people call him God Body Science. Who knows? But yeah, man, I'll catch you next time. Peace.